I see the bad moon rising. I see trouble on the bend. Yeah, I'm not a singer. I like to sing, but I will spare you. I can do a little bit of la 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 lullabies. That is about it. I can sing to babies. Okay, it's a new moon actually. It's not a bad moon. A new moon in Virgo. It's like cleaning out the closets time, getting down, paying attention to details, renewing and refreshing ourselves for a new cycle, you know? And so I thought I'd pull a few cards. Why not? Right? It's 9:46. First cards just fly right out here. Do some research and love life. Okay? I'm just going to put these cards up here. I was going to maybe make this a pick a card reading, but those just flew right out. So do some research and love life. Is there a better way that you can organize this way of relating? Oh. Okay, so this is about kind of upgrading the way that we are in relationship with others. There's something to be learned to better our love life. And this is our life in terms of all things we love. So there's an opportunity here to kind of upgrade the way that we relate with others, especially in terms of love. So love. One of my favorite definitions of love is when you take somebody else's well-being with as high regard as your own. When whatever you do, you consider how it affects this other as well. That's love. So love is not when you just do what is best for you without considering the other. That's not love. Love is not when you do what's best for you to stay in control of the other. Love is not creating power plays and dynamics to keep one person in the victim role and one in the savior role. Those are power plays. That's not love. It's when you actually can consider the well-being of the other person with as high regard as that you consider your own well-being with every move you make. Oh, wow, yeah, so raising our standards in any place that we're not doing it like that. Okay, Spirit, what else we got? I just did my first mediumship reading as kind of a practice. I'm actually going to open myself to learn how to do this more. And while I was kind of so open, I thought I would just kind of see what else came through. So these two cards came out together. This is interesting. Son and daughter. And then also the winter. So obviously this is in reference to our children. So actually we're being asked to upgrade the way that we love our children as well. Ooh, yes. And that anything that we have been concerned about with our children, things are going to shift by the winter. There's going to be big shifts, big changes. And what we have control of is how we are presenting ourselves to the others in our life, to our loved ones, and especially our children. So with regards to their behavior, this card is saying, kind of step back. Don't try to coerce and put pressure on them to conform to anything. Just upgrade the way that we are loving them. And so where it has the do some research, I'm going to say, like, it's going to be something new, something upgraded to what we have been doing. And I would say conscious parenting comes to mind. Conscious parenting. Do you know about conscious parenting? Our sons and daughters need us to be in the mode of conscious parenting. Conscious parenting allows for the growth mindset. So it breaks out of this lack paradigm that we've all been in. Okay, so this is actually part of our evolution, right? We are breaking out of this lack paradigm, and one thing that greatly affects that is our children and how they feel about themselves. And we've been just passing along the programming we got. Or we've been passing along the coping mechanisms that we got, that we adopted to survive the programming we got. So maybe we've been doing in the opposite direction just to offset some of the things that were done to us. We're doing extreme opposite direction. But either way, that energy is still looping in the experience until we actually dissolve the energy. And conscious parenting actually teaches us to do so. So it's an amazing concept. If you just Google it or search it on YouTube, I forget her name exactly, but it's like Dr. Schifaldi or Shinaldi or something like that. She has some master classes that are free and lots of talks where she's been interviewed and talks about her book. There's a book. But this is kind of the way of the future. This is one of the things that we need to do for our children. Oh, I love this. It's kind of neat because I actually, the mediumship channeling that I just did was for a child. He's still there. He just giggled and said, yeah. He wants this. He wants this for his siblings. Okay. Alright, some cards are flying out here. Let me see. It's like, hold the vision for what we do want. So where things aren't quite working, where things are rough, where things are, where things are in conflict or chaos, try to think above that. Try to hold the vision for what we do want. And then they're here. I'm just kind of picking them up carefully here. Communicate about, maybe even write down what you really want and envision, but communicate about what your vision is. Well, rewrite the story that you've been telling yourself about how it can be and what's possible. This is very interesting because it's actually correlating to something I've been going through, where I have my son living with me now, where I had been alone for a long time, and so I had just been being challenged in all these ways that I hadn't been in a long time. He's grown, but I was treating him like a child still because I just felt like he needed some nurturing and to move through difficult times. And I just had this great talk with a friend who is also on the spiritual journey like me and who understands what we're doing here, which she and I are both clearing any energies that stand in our way and learning to love unconditionally ourselves and others. And so in talking to her, it was so helpful to help me find the place in me where I was still operating under old ways. And the old way that I was operating under was something that was a piece of programming that was simply passed along to me through my parental figures. Of course, they got it from their parental figures. And what it was is this type of relating which it's a bit narcissistic, so people don't be scared of my label either, because we're all a bit narcissistic. But this particular pattern gets kind of passed off as normal among some families when it's actually very damaging. And it's this pattern that says, like, I'm the parent, I do for you, and so you have to do this. It's like, you're in my house, I expect you to do this. And it's like actually asking this person, this being, this whole seed waiting to sprout to forget everything that they are and everything that they want to do to fall in line to what we want. And then like even saying things like, I do this, this, and this for you. I keep this household, and you need to respect me, and you need to listen to my rules, and and all this kind of stuff. It's like these power struggles, right? And you feel very justified when you're in them because that is the programming you have. Like, I don't know, if you have this, but I'm just saying as an example, when you do have this programming, you do feel very justified in it because that's all you've known your whole life. And when you shift out of this, so what you do have to do is acknowledge it in yourself. Acknowledge that somewhere along the line, like I had to go, okay, yeah, I was treated in such a way where I was expected of without the other person considering what was for my well-being. It's like do you see, it's the exact same thing the card started out by telling us. It's like, when it was time to do the dishes, it didn't matter if I felt good, bad, ugly, like none of it. It was like that was what I had to do with no regard for how I was doing, right? And that's not love. You see how that's not love because I was not considered. And like the household starts getting run like a business. And there's this expectation, like giving with the expectation of getting what in return? Devotion, respect, following the rules. Sometimes, some parents go so far as to enslave their child to be the one who has to do everything, And I'm not saying it's like that or that blatant. In some families, it's very, very subtle. Very subtle. It's just like, yeah, this is what you have to do. And, I'm the firm provider here, and, it doesn't matter how you're feeling or what you have to say about it or that you don't want to do it, When actually in unconditional love, if your child expresses that they have a headache or they have homework or something else is bothering them, like that would take precedence perhaps in an unconditionally loving environment and relationship, perhaps, So this is our responsibility. So the responsibility is the ability to respond to how we're feeling. So when we turn into these tyrants that are trying to get our children to do something, it's like, can we take the ability to respond to how we're feeling and kind of trace that inward and find out why we feel so strongly and why we feel so entitled to act that way? And think back to a time when that was done to us. Are we reliving and showing people how we were treated? And then can you go back to that moment as a child and how it felt in that moment when your feelings weren't being honored and you were expected of even though? And so victory came out, birth chart, and celebrate. So celebrate every step of the way. Celebrate that you've gotten this far in the programming you have. Like none of it's wrong. Like this is just an opportunity for upgrade. With a new moon, it's like set new intentions. But this new way, this opportunity for new is actually what's providing opportunity for victory. Celebrate each step of the way is very important. So you'll celebrate that victory, but also celebrate that you just acknowledged. Celebrate that you made a decision. Celebrate that you committed to doing it different. Birth chart is the last thing. And the thing that comes up for that with me is, each child is different. Every person is unique. Some children have energy to endlessly go, go, go. Some children need a lot more time in their imagination. Some children, it's different temperaments for different children. They're all unique, and they're not meant to be molded by us. They're actually meant to unfurl like a seed sprouting and inspire us. We are there to just keep them safe. That's it. Like, we should not be trying to mold our children into something because that is what was done to us. And that is suppression and oppression, and it actually kind of messes with people and it makes us have to heal later. So we can bypass that whole thing. And some of our children have already been programmed, and now we have to learn to evolve out of that. So, but keeping in mind that every child is unique. Every person needs something different. If you are expecting your child to live exactly as you do, maybe you are missing the mark on what their actual need is. So, wow, this is beautiful. So in my case, what happened is, I shifted my energy and I just realized, whoa, I'm totally like here offering my help to my son, and then I'm making it like he has to follow the rules or no more help. It's like, well, the whole reason I wanted to help him is because he was kind of having trouble following the rules where he was. And I really felt for him because I thought those rules were kind of tyrannical. and then I moved him in here, offered my help, and then made myself a tyrant as well because I felt so justified in not liking certain things, like cigarette butts in his pockets that would like smell up the house, and just like silly stuff like that, certainly I would much rather have that than my son on the street, which is the things that I start threatening when I don't like what he's doing. It's like, that is insane. That is insane of me to offer help and then make threats about withdrawing that help based on his inability to comply with my expectation. Am I going to be helping, or are we trying to do a business transaction here, So just by shifting that in my energy and remembering that I love this child, I love this boy, I love him, I love him, I love him, I would bend over backwards, I would do what I can, and mainly my role should just be teaching him to love himself by being an example of someone who loves herself. And someone who loves herself doesn't go around pointing fingers and being a tyrant and trying to make everybody fall in line to what she wants. That's not love. That's not loving me, that's not loving you. So something magical happened, and all of a sudden our relationship shifted within a day when I shifted myself out of this energy, and it was really beautiful. And I've been so glad and so, so much more at ease. So it's kind of interesting. I guess it makes sense then that Spirit would do this reading, have me do this reading, because I can relate to it and I can share my personal experience of it. And of course you understand why I translate the cards in this manner. Okay? So great. Let's see. Let's just get some cards about what needs to be said, just in case. So the What Needs to Be Said deck. I'm distracted. So we're in the places that we can't pay attention to the people we love. Maybe we need to say, I'm just distracted right now. This is, respecting them and where they're at and just letting them know. It's like, instead of saying, I need some time to myself, leave me alone, it's like, I'm really distracted right now, so I'm sorry I can't be present with you. Because actually our presence is all they really want. Ooh, I just threw all the cards on the floor. Can you read my mind? I guarantee that if we're expecting someone to do something and they can't read our mind, that they're probably going to fail. So it's like something I would have said to my mother. It's like, I can't read your mind. It's like, having someone get angry at you because you didn't meet up with their expectations can be really upsetting, And we can be mind readers, but we're not expected to be, and certainly not, as a child. We can apologize to our child. I messed up. I haven't actually had an opportunity to have that conversation with my son yet. I dropped a card, so I'm going to grab it. I guess 2 were down there. I haven't been able to say this to my son yet, but I think I will when I have the opportunity, and explaining to him why I shifted into this way of being and how I didn't want to do that other thing anymore, which was be a tyrant and mean and I told you so. Okay, so when they do something, that we tried to warn them about, maybe this is something more not to say, it's like, they get to learn by making mistakes, and it's not the most terrible thing in the world to make a mistake, right? We get to learn by the consequences. So, oh, here's that saying. Let's create a new story. So, I believe we got that in the other cards too. Rewrite the story. Yep, rewrite. So here it is again. Writing a new story with our loved ones. What's the story you'd rather tell? You know the story you've been telling, because that's the story you've been living. The story you tell yourself about how it has to be is probably stemming from the story that you learned from growing up in the world that you live in. But we have an opportunity to create something new. If conscious parenting doesn't sound right to you, it's just saying do some research, find out what is right for you. There is a way to switch this all around. We're being asked to rewrite the story of our relationship with our loved ones. I love it. I love it, and I have found it well worthwhile. And even all of my family members, where there's tension in my extended family, I've kind of been rewriting that as well in my mind, just kind of allowing for taking responsibility for the things I feel, like any negative feelings and vibrations that I've contributed to situations. I'm taking responsibility for that. And then just like clearing and zeroing out the energy, and then like allowing for a new way to see this person, a new way to deal with this person, a new story to emerge. And I first have to tell that story within myself before I can live that story. So that's what I've been doing. And it feels really good. It feels really effective. And as I tell a different story about people in my life, they show up differently. It's amazing and perfect and beautiful. And all you have to do is experiment a little bit before you see how beautiful it can be. So have fun. Have fun with that, and happy new moon, paying attention to those details, and communicating about what we have to share and communicate about. Like, if you have some ideas, things that you're doing with your children and your loved ones that are different, what kind of rewrites have you put into your story? Feel free to share. Let's have a conversation. Let's get some ideas rolling about great new ways to relate to our loved ones that's fair, that's unconditional love, that encompasses who we really are, while honoring who we really are. It's like, I understand a lot of people feel they have to put up boundaries, but this is actually asking us to take responsibility for how we feel. And that actually makes it so that we can make agreements instead of boundaries. Let's make an agreement with somebody about how we're going to be. And practice, practice, practice. We're not just going to get it right away, This is something that we're going to have to keep doing and keep tweaking and see how it works and do it for a long time and learn a new way. Because if we're breaking a pattern that we've done our whole lives, we might need to practice. We might need to spend some time doing it the new way before it gets solid and creates the neural pathway that makes it second knowledge. So that a lot of forgiveness for everybody in the process is very appropriate. Okay, happy new moon to you.